hydro since it's a harder material. And then also it's not a tube.
How are you gonna
Get back a little bit. They like hearing about that.
We're gonna rivet it. My name is Sean Kyler. I joined the team in 2021, so 4 years ago. I joined robotics because I've always been super interested in engineering, creating things, building Legos, you know, classic 5-year-old stuff. And I just fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with building robots, fell in love with design, fell in love with the team, and yeah. My current role in robotics is team captain. So that means I am keeping tabs on all the sub-teams, I'm checking in with people. We had a really solid senior base last year. I think like half our team were seniors. So losing them was really a punch to the gut because they were pretty much the core of our team and they really helped our team get through last season. So having half a team be freshmen has been both a blessing and a curse. They're amazing. They truly are the most talented group of freshmen I've seen on this team. However, with 10 freshmen, things can get a bit crazy.
Lisette just put me as first. But like Sean put me as first. And Lisette earlier. Go talk to Lisette. We have these beautiful bumpers right here. No, red. And then we have ours.
We had some kinks to iron out before the season.
I'm Dallas Rock. I am on the manufacturing team. So manufacturing, we are making the parts. So any part that design gives us, they design it on the computers. And then they take a sheet which tells us what to make and how to make it. And then we take the paper, grab a piece of metal, and then we cut it to size, we cut it precisely, and then we maybe drill holes or whatever else we will need to do. And then we're gonna give that over to assembly. And assembly is gonna take all those things, put it into the robot. And then software is gonna take the robot and then code it and make it work.
At the beginning of the build season, we're given a challenge to complete, and this year's challenge was
Welcome to the 2025 First Robotics Competition game, Reefscape.
we had to take pieces of PVC pipe and put them up on pegs that were on the structure called the reef. And so we decided that our robot would be very good at its job.
Oh, 2 weeks in? Okay, the first thing that's happening is it's hectic. We had some mechanical difficulties with, like, I think all 3 of our machines. And then we also had to make orders that were coming in from the design team.
Well, we were learning how to use our machines, which you know is a bit late to be learning. So we had no idea how to use any of the machines up till that point. So we had to like learn as we went, which is good. We learned quickly, but a lot of mistakes were made along the way.
How do I say it? It was a very fun time.
the drive tryouts felt like different to the rest of the season. It was like, you have a robot, you have everything down, but now like, you gotta like really zone in on a new, different thing that we've never done before. At the very beginning of the year, me and my friend, we like drove the robot a little bit from last year, and I enjoyed it, and like, this was pretty cool, but I didn't think much of it. And then like, a few months later, comes up, you have to like, put in your resume or whatnot, and I was like, you know what? I would love to be driver. And partially the way through the tryouts, a lot of people like left because they weren't serious. Like, no, I don't really want to do this. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna keep going through this. And Lisette, one of our mentors, she kept stating how amazing it was, like on the field, down there, judging, being one of the players, just the whole atmosphere. I'm like, at that moment, I knew I wanted to be that. I'm trying out for driver, doing everything I can, practicing as much as possible right after school, staying overtime, anything I can, sneak in an extra 30 minutes. And it ended up paying off. It was like refreshing, and it felt great. When I told my parents, it was like celebrated. I was super stoked and started practicing all the time with my operator. We really just zoned in. Enabling.
Alright, so you're currently at...
The days leading up to Glacier Peak were a little bit different than usual. It was stressful coming up to the final days. There were just certain days where I like realized what was coming up and was wondering if I was prepared enough.
I remember when we were looking at the lineup for who we were competing against, and I saw 1778, which they're a great team, but we were going against them 4 times, and they were 3rd in the world. That was kind of difficult.
I was not fully aware of our schedule until the night we were driving home. I remember I turned to my dad and I said, I didn't understand why we kept doing this. And
they have a really incredible robot. It has like ground collect, incredible auto.
We had the worst match schedule. The match schedules are randomized. So as drive captain, I was in here like looking at our match schedule and seeing the worst possible lineup we could have had in this competition. And I just remember like, this is going to be awful competition. But we made the most of it.
Morning Glacier Peak, probably woke up at 5:15, and then got ready, and we just drove to the robotics lab. It was really cool seeing everything at night and just like meeting up with everyone in the parking lot. It was like, it felt very different atmosphere. We're driving over and we're like talking, laughing, and then like outside, I walk in, and then the second I enter the gym where the whole arena is, it like kind of sits in. I'm like, whoa, this is massive. Like, there are a lot of people here, big stands in a big field, and they're all watching me and my team.
Glacier Peak was like the test run, basically. Well, not the test run. Bunny Bots was the test run. Glacier Peak for me and the manufacturing team was basically a long shot. Like, hopefully we have all the tools. Hopefully everything goes well.
So, there's this one match at GPU that it just stands above all the rest. And this was one match I remember vividly. So we walked out, and for all the matches, we had kind of huddled and prayed before every match. So the drive team huddles up, me, Dallas, Ray, and Elliot. We know we're against Chill Out, who is the best at the competition. During the match, right, we're going through everything. We're playing well, right? And I look up at the scoreboard and we're winning. And I remember getting very excited. We ended up winning the match. And so I was like, I was actually flabbergasted. I did not think we were going to be able to beat Chill Out. And then afterward, I learned that that was the one match in this entire competition that they had broke. Their robot had broken. And so I was we were very, very lucky, and that was a very, very good match for us. Our stands were great. In the past, our stands have been quiet. I mean, we do have a small team, but our small team up there in the stands, they were able to make enough noise for us to hear them above the rest of the crowd, especially teams like Chill Out cheering louder, and they have like 60 people up there. And our team of like 15, 20 people, we were able to hear them over the crowd. And so I remember hearing the team and just feeling like, you know, like we could do this every time I heard our team cheer.
In elementary school, I was in Lego Robotics, FLL, and I actually went to Glacier Peak at a robotics competition as an elementary kid. And obviously I was doing like the Lego stuff with judges and whatnot, and I got to see the robot, and that was a cool experience in itself. And coming back there was like nostalgia, and also just crazy like realization of how big it is, what the pits are like, how chaotic yet organized it is. And that was really cool. So during Glacier Peak, walking up to the matches, like imagine we're grabbing our robot, it's about 110 pounds. We gotta lift it, put it onto the cart, we're pulling this thing around, and we gotta go up the ramp, and we're waiting in the queue. So there's an outside queue and an inside queue. And then when you're in the outside queue, you're all like, hey, what can you do? What can you do? Like, okay, we should probably focus on this or that. So once we get in there, and we're like all around the robot, whether that's just relaxing, strategizing, fixing the robot in emergency. And it was kind of crazy, kind of sitting there with the whole crowd. Get up there, put the robot in the field, and then once autonomous starts, which is when the robot automatically moves, 15 seconds long, and then you hear this. And you all run in there, grab your controllers, and zone in. Pulling the robot, driving in. going around, you know. It's like, I don't even look at the score until it's completely over. And then once it ends, we just like stop and just the crowd just cheers. And it was insane how loud the crowd was.
Since we didn't do the best at Glacier Peak, I think the entire team was very excited for Bonnie Lake.
We had a robot that could stand up to some of the best robots at the competition.
After Glacier Peak, I knew our robot was really good. I was super excited about what was going to happen because I knew our robot was good and our drivers were good.
But we were also stressed because we had so many ideas that we wanted to implement into the robot.
Between Bonnie Lake and Glacier Peak, we hit the ground running, to say the least. Our second competition, Bonnie Lake, we were testing out some things. Like moving up and down, collecting. We had tweaked some values. And then it broke.
The bottom beam was fully bent.
Sheared the gussets.
The brackets that were holding it shattered.
We had 40 minutes to completely fix and refurbish our robot. We had to take out a bar, find new gussets, which are these plates that you mount tubes with. Find gussets, take off the old stuff, put on the new stuff, and then get ready to compete, which alone, getting ready for a match, takes about 10 to 15 minutes.
I felt freaked out because in a way I felt like it was kind of my fault.
When they came up to us and was like, hey, you need to be in qualifying right now, and we didn't have a working robot, we're like, oh shoot, we just can't do this match. And it was a really bad first impression to not be there.
So there was a qualification match where 2929 Jagbots, who were a terrifying defense bot, broke part of our collector. Looking at that match, coming out of it, we were honestly like, oh gosh, what happened? Is this going to be another thing that is going to take forever to fix?
They were really good at defense. Not only would they hit hard, but they knew the rules, they knew they could just get you.
Take it off this back. There's more weight
However, we got very lucky. It turns out the only thing that happened was that part of the polycarb on our collector just got like kind of bumped out of where it was supposed to be. So literally all it took was replacing one bolt and moving the polycarb a little bit, and it took us it was like a 5-minute fix. So it was a scary thing going into it, but it was a relief finding out that it wasn't that big of a deal.
So the first day of qualification matches was interesting.
Alright guys, we're queuing, hurry up. Brain Robotics. Separated by just 2 points, 18 to 16 in favor of the Blue Alliance. Pricing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of level 4 coral. Minimum 5 points each as Cyber Knights adds another piece to level 3. 91 to 22 is your final score in favor of the Blue Alliance.
Coral scored by Eco Alliance, ranking point gained by Eco Alliance. Cyber Knights trying to break free of the Alpha stuck in their machine.
Okay, wait. Hi, Luke. Look at him, he's just having on.
Amen. Good job, guys. Ready for this? At the start of the second day, we noticed that our elevator was kind of losing tension in the strings that was making it go up and down.
One of them was frayed to the point where like it was going to snap probably in our next match.
Had like 45 minutes until our first match. And our pit crew tried to completely replace the elevator rigging. And this ended up being a huge mistake.
7 or 8 people all working on the robot at once, trying to get the wires tensioned properly and the pulleys in the correct orientation.
We didn't have as much time as we thought, and we did too much.
We realized we had a match in 15 minutes.
We ended up not being able to make it to our first match of the day. And that set us back hard.
But all changed as soon as Alliance selection came.
The top 8 teams are given the opportunity to choose another team that they want to be on their alliance. So it starts with the first ranked team, and they can choose anyone including one of the other top 8 teams. And then it kind of goes down the row to team 8.
Teams were getting picked. We were holding our breath. And then the 8th Alliance chose us.
I remember our first match was terrifying. We were up against Alliance 1, and we knew that we could not win.
A tough match. We were up against 2 of the top teams in the entire world.
So we get down to losers bracket, and it's just everybody's feeling down. Then we win that match. Everybody's stressed, and we're like, we're not gonna win this match. Then we won that match, and everybody's stressed again because we know that we're probably not gonna make the next one. And each time that keeps happening.
After that, we're just going through like stressed because every single one of these matches could be our loss. We could just be gone. But we kept going strong, and we just getting all through all the teams. We're like climbing. And we're like, okay, guys, this is probably our match. It's probably our match. But we just kept going, and every single round, we were increasing points. Every single match. The crowd was just getting louder and louder.
It was really, really, really satisfying and beautiful to see that.
We took out every team in the lower bracket, and we ended up coming all the way back up to the final match.
Every single team has stopped and sat in the stands to watch us. You could hear like an overwhelming atmosphere of just people shouting and rooting for you.
So that's when everyone was screaming their brains out. And that's kind of also when I was almost passing out by holding my breath. But yeah, I'll always remember that.
I could see everyone's hard work paying off. It's like, we built that, and it works amazing. And I remember watching these number 4 teams in the world facing off against our robot and these couple of other robots. And I just remember feeling very, very proud about it because we were doing really well. Like, we could compete against some of the best in the world with our robot that we made in the garage.
we got an actual auto working.
Ever see a picture when you had like money?
So, our finals match, we ended up losing, unfortunately, but not by a lot. We only lost by 14 points. And this is against two of the best teams in the entire district. So I was very proud of us, I was very proud of our team, I was very proud of our robot. We also ended up getting the Team Spirit Award, which is something that our team has never won. We didn't make it to districts. We had 62 district points, and we were one short of making it to DCMP, which was kind of a heavy blow.
But it didn't feel like the end of anything. If anything, it felt like the beginning of something, because we had just had this incredible experience where everything clicked.
I originally joined because it was a community. I remember just realizing how smart and talented the team is.
I feel like our team did very well. For a team made up pretty much half of freshmen, we performed very well, beyond expectations. We made it to a finals match, and we almost beat the best alliance at the competition. We made a good, capable robot that was able to perform very well, and it worked. And so I'm very proud of our team, I'm very proud of our season, and I'm happy to go out on the season.
This season was like a phoenix from the ashes. Originally it was very hectic and crowded, but in the end it turned into a very capable and well-performing team, and it just made me very proud to be on it.
This robotics season was incredible. I loved all the late nights, the early mornings, just being with my friends, whether that's goofing off for a day or just being locked in nothing but work.
And I'm thankful for this team, the people on the team. They've helped me grow a lot. And I am so glad that I've got to be part of such an amazing experience, such an amazing team, and yeah, go Cyber Knights.
I'm super excited for next year because we've made a lot of mistakes, we've had a lot of challenges, but we've learned from them all. And I just wonder what next year will bring.